Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily-ish update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool and Ethereum spaces. My name is Wack. Today is September 10th and today's episode is actually a jam-packed episode, so we're going to jump right in, but we're going to cover ETH DATs going with rETH potentially. We're going to be talking about the Rocket Pool roadmap and some updates that are happening there and feedback that's required. On the staking side, we're going to be talking about a mass slashing event that's happening and Kiln unstaking all the ETH, what's happening with that. On the Ethereum side, we are going to be talking about some really cool stuff like a forecast update, and we're going to be talking about new L2s launching, rollups launching, and so much more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so the news to begin with is this update from ETH Strategy, and this is an on-chain DAT, digital asset treasury company, and their goal is to accumulate as much ETH as possible. And ETH Strategy is saying that they are announcing a collaboration with Rocket Pool as latest staking provider in our treasury yield strategy. So this is really cool. I guess the idea is that they're going to play out some kind of staking. Ideally, that would be them buying rETH, but there's a possibility that they might actually just want to deploy validators, in which case they'd have to go through the entry queue and all that kind of stuff. So it says that collaboration with the Rocket Pool is the latest staking provider in this treasury play, and they're saying that Rocket Pool is, all kinds of decentralized and all that awesome stuff, and they've got rETH, so that enables liquid staking through rETH, and with node operating lowers the thresholds. So what does this mean for strat holders? They support decentralization, they can get composable yield, so holding rETH keeps treasury assets active and deployable across DeFi, and then it's transparent autonomous. So Rocket Pool operates on transparent smart contracts, reducing reliance on centralized intermediaries. And it says ETH Strategy's collaboration with Rocket Pool supports Ethereum's broader network resilience while enhancing treasury operations and EPS growth for strat holders. So this is really awesome stuff. Really, really great. We need like every DAT basically having some kind of integration with Rocket Pool, holding rETH. That would be absolutely wonderful. Just like ETH Strategy here says that they'll be supporting Ethereum and making money at the same time, and you can't go wrong with that. So that was a nice update from them. And then we also had I'm sorry, my computer's being really slow, just give me a second. Then we had right as that went through, basically, that news was announced, we had a nice big whale splash coming through, over 1,000 ETH deposited in the deposit pool, 1,260. And that, of course, is always really nice to see. The same person just a few seconds before that did a test transaction for 100 ETH, which was nice. But that meant a whole bunch of validators that were waiting were able to get online. And if we have a look right now, actually we can see how many validators they're waiting right now in the queue. For Rocket Pool, yeah, we have 96 validators who have been waiting. The longest wait has been for 22 days. So we need just under 3,000 ETH to get all of those validators online. But that's actually a really nice little bit of information. And rETH is trading at a discount of 0.42%. But it looks like there was just a few more burns happening. So yeah, there's always these burns happening from Jared. So that discount might not be long for this world. Okay, next we had this post from Langers here. He says that, hey everyone, in line with RPIP 37 protocol development, the team has put together an indicative roadmap's release schedule, and it says that they want feedback from the community. There's 3 proposed options, so let's actually go over there and have a look. So starting with this post, so he says that we're working on Saturn 1, that's all coming along, and there's stuff that was going to go into Saturn 2, and these are the there's three roadmap options. Number one is that we do Saturn 1 at the end of October, and then we do Saturn 2, and then we do rETH updates. And rETH updates is having things like include rETH redemptions through EIP 7002 and rETH yield protection from underperforming node operators. It says these components are to be defined but deemed important to maintain the peg and raise rETH yield performance. So these are three roadmaps. So the idea is you have Saturn 1 at the end of October, then you have Saturn 2 that will take you to the end of March, and then from then you will have the rETH updates that will take you from April to August, and after that hot fixes. That's option 1. Option 2 is you have Saturn 1, then you have rETH updates, then you have Saturn 2, and option 3 is wait, why is that? How is that different? Oh yeah. And then option 3 is they have Saturn 1 and Saturn 2 and rETH updates at the same time. And then that would push out the upgrade to June. So it depends, like, do you want rETH updates first? Do you want Saturn updates first? Or do you want both? And if you want both, then they'll both come later, but a bit more delayed, like in June instead of the first one in April and the second one in August. So that's kind of the discussion that was happening, and then people were kind of giving their information. A lot of people were saying option 2, the one where you have the rETH improvements first before Saturn 2. A lot of people were saying that. Even I was saying that. However, Samus here had brought up an interesting point, saying after Saturn 0, the market has demonstrated a lack of rETH demand, which is the bottleneck for growth. So approaching from scratch, I would say that anything that helps improve rETH demand is what should be prioritized. It says this makes option 1 the least preferable because that is where the rETH improvements come furthest out. And then he says, looking closer at Saturn 2, there's the bond curves and there's RPIP 45 and 50. He says the bulk of the work for Saturn 2 would be forced exits. So what he's saying then is he prefers option 3, but he says, I don't think the scope of Saturn 2 plus rETH improvements is that much larger than just the rETH improvements only. So he says, mainly, I think we should question whether Saturn 2 in option 3 would actually take 3 months or longer than option 2's rETH updates to ship. He says, do you think that rETH updates by themselves could go in mainnet 3+ months faster by themselves as standalone upgrade compared to bundling with the rest of Saturn 2? Then I think it should be worth preferring option 2. This assumes RPIP 44 can't be unbundled. So then there was some other stuff. But one of the things that came up with is this idea of option 4 that Dr. Doofus brings up. He says, I'm sort of where Samus is. My preference is actually not in the listed options, but rather a hybrid of 3 with a dash of 2 thrown in. He says, meaning retool the next steps in terms of the harder and easier parts of Saturn 2 and mix the easier parts with all the rETH improvements and forced exits, then save Saturn 2 stuff like buy and burn if it's going to happen, which I also doubt, for after. So the stuff in Saturn 2 that is more difficult, I guess, is stuff like buy and burn or buy and provide liquidity happening at the smart contract level. And if we just keep what we're going to get in Saturn 1, which is, rETH goes to RPL stakers. Sorry, not rETH. ETH rewards go to RPL stakers. That would, save a lot of work, which could potentially make it all happen a bit faster. So, if the community basically would need to decide on that. So this was a really active discussion. There's a lot of people talking about option 2, and Langer says he has a feeling that option 4 might be proposed. And this is the interesting part. He says, my guess that voter share only is what wins, but the DAO still needs to vote here. So here Langer says, this is really key issue. For roadmap planning, I'm currently needing to work on the basis that either buy and burn or buy an LP will be adopted. I believe drafts are underway, but I encourage the community to put this to vote sooner rather than later so we can move forward with more certainty. So this is, as Samus raised, without buy and burn and buy and LP, Saturn 2 is very small, and option 4 with that assumption would look like this. And this is where you see, like, maybe middle of April or before May, at some point in April, you'll get Saturn 1 and rETH updates, and Saturn 2 and rETH updates, and that would be the parts of Saturn 2 that would just be changing the rETH going to RPLs. I keep saying that, the ETH going to RPL stakers, or it would be the rETH upgrades in terms of forced exits and stuff. So that is definitely what works, and I said I like this option 4. We definitely need to go to vote. So there's a lot of discussion here, and it's been quite lively. People are kind of mostly, I think, saying option 2, but before this option 4 became a possibility, I think option 4 is the best option. But that would, of course, need the community to vote on ETH rewards going to RPL stakers and not doing some kind of buy and burn or buy and liquidity provide, which are options that might end up being quite popular and might be what the community decides instead. So I think the idea is, for me, where I stand is, if the community chooses, give it to RPL stakers, then option 4 is the best. If the community decides that we should buy back and burn or buy back and liquidity provide, then option 2 is the best, pushing that back later to get the rETH improvements first. But that's just my opinion. Of course, you're welcome to go there and welcome to go to the thread and share your opinions there. Okay, next we had this community call that took place, and this... we had a community call that took place a couple of days ago, and this was actually really interesting. It was with Rezerve Money, which is a new on-chain DAT, and their goal is to accumulate 1 million ETH, and their goal is to actually accumulate that in terms of rETH. So that is going to be launching, and they've got some really interesting ideas. It was only 41 minutes long, so go and give it a listen. It was a very interesting topic, and I'm all for supporting protocols when they want to buy more rETH. I'm so super happy about that. So yeah, this was a nice little call. They've got some interesting ideas about how they want to adopt rETH for their holdings, and how they want to raise 1 million ETH worth of rETH. I'm hugely supportive of that. So definitely go give that a listen. And they've got there's a link to their Discord in the Rocket Pool community, and you can go and ask them questions if you have anything after you listen to the call. You can go and ask them questions. But yeah, that's really good stuff. Okay, another governance thing that's going on right now is the RPIP 74. This is mini pool queue closure. So I mentioned this on Monday's episode of Rocket Fuel. This has actually, the discussion of this has been ongoing, and you can read that in the other thread. But here, Dr. Doofus kind of puts together the background. The mini pool, should we close it to new requests in the period before Saturn 1? And because we want people to go with mega pools, and what should happen here. So there's information about what it should look like and what the good things are and what the cons are. You can read all of this and check it out, but it's really interesting. Let's actually have a look at the way the votes have gone so far. Yeah, so 83% of people, which is 10 out of 12 responders, have said that they support moving to snapshot vote, and for the queue closure, so they're happy for it to go to vote right now as it stands. Only one person out of those 11 say that they are, well, now 12, says that they don't want to go to vote yet, and one person is undecided about whether we should go to vote or not. So when this goes to vote, I will likely be voting in favor of this, of closing the queue, but you can engage with the ideas and try to find out where you stand with that before that situation. Okay, let's go back to the Rocket Pool Discord here, and we have a smart node update, and this is a smart node update 1.17.3, and it's got client updates in here. So it's got Geth, Bisu, Teku, Nimbus, and Nethermind. There's some smart node changes. So change the minimum enforced gas for ODAO transactions to 50 GUE. This previous 200 GUE value was too high for the current gas usage and was preventing nodes from submitting when they didn't have enough ETH. Changed rETH parameters to reduce risk-based requirement, omitting gas prices when estimating, added an alert for low ETH balance in the node wallet, hard-coded additional event data in preparation for the history expiry moving window, and deprecated the service stats command, use Docker stats instead, and updated Go to version 1.25.1, and then you can install it as well, so there's information about that. And then there was a rETH bug that happened, and there's a fix for that. I don't know if that's actually being covered in today's episode. Oh yeah, there is. That's going to be covered later. So we'll talk about that in the staking section. But yeah, there's a fix for that here as well. So I'm just getting a little flash forward of the news that's going to come. Okay, next we have some really interesting news that have come into the community, and this is Epinef posting about this yesterday, saying how is this not the biggest news to hit Rocket Pool this week? And this is the news of Elpresidank's node coming back online. So Elpresidank's node has been offline for a really long time, and people in the community thought that he might have passed away. I remember talking about that on Rocket Fuel before, when there was a drive to get inactive node operators back online. Nobody had heard from Elpresidank in quite a while. And he just kind of disappeared one day, and his validator his node had a lot of validators running, and then just kind of went quiet and went offline, and was losing a lot of ETH for Elpresidank and also for the protocol. But this came back online, and Patchy said sliding into his sister's DMs on Instagram may have finally worked. So that's what Patches is getting up to. And yeah, Elpresidank is back online, which is really, really great. And yeah, awesome stuff. So here you can have a look at the node. So the node was down from March of 2024. Is when they went down. So it was doing okay. It had a couple of periods of inactivity, but like coming back online. And then in March 2024, it went offline, and it came back yesterday. So that is just like phenomenal that has happened. Yeah, we just thought this was going to be like a drag on the protocol for many, many years to come. But thankfully that's not the case. And like I said here, there's 110 validators on this node. So that was quite big. So yeah, this is really, really cool to see. Elpresidank, I hope you're doing okay if you're out there watching. But yeah, it's going to take a while for Elpresidank to get back to positive territory. In that time, they have lost 3.18 ETH, I think, from aggregate rewards. Yeah, so they've lost a whole lot of ETH basically from their time down. I thought it would have been more than that, but yeah, they missed 74% of proposals, and they've so they've lost over 7 ETH in rewards that they've missed, and penalties as well. So yeah, they've lost a lot of money, but hey, you can earn it back now. So good luck, Elpresidank. I hope you're doing okay wherever you are. Okay, next we have the latest GMC round has closed, and we actually got some interesting submissions this time, and we got a couple of submissions from Mav, who of course is working with community lead with the protocol and like doing marketing stuff, and he is proposing some grants to the GMC for funding marketing blitzes. So he says advertising marketing co-spend between Rocket Pool team and DAO in support of Saturn 1 upgrade. 2 components are 15-day bankless blitz and a 5-day flagship package from the Defiant. And then there's some ideas of how that would work and who it's beneficial for and what the purpose of it is, how much it will cost. So there's payments are about $56,000, and there'll be costs that will be covered by the team, costs that will be covered by the GMC, I guess, or the DAO, I guess, in this situation, and other alternatives as well of higher packages and lower packages that we can consider. So there's some really interesting stuff there. So Shifrin has asked the community to talk about this if you want. No one has commented on this so far, so there's community discussions of submitted applications thread that you can go and check, and in that you can get an idea of, like, you can talk about whether you think this should be approved or not approved. So definitely give your feedback. The GMC definitely takes community feedback on board. Whether we agree with it or disagree with it, we definitely do read it and try to acknowledge it. So yeah, spend a minute and give us your feedback and let us know what you think. Okay, so Kevster here put a picture of himself in trading with a shirt saying, "Look what arrived, Dr. Doofus." And this is a black t-shirt that says, it looks like a coffee cup on there, and it says Rocket Pool on there, and it's got the Rocket Pool logo like in black, which is really, really cool. And then Dr. Doofus shared a picture of his dog wearing a Rocket Fuel t-shirt, which of course I think is really cool. And here it says, met a Rocket Fuel fan today, which is nice. It's an orange Rocket Pool orange shirt with the with the Rocket Pool logo and the name logo there as well. So that is really cool. And then we actually had Dr. Doofus saying that there's a secret announcement for trading only. So I'm kind of breaking the rules here and putting in Rocket Fuel. It says the merch store is now open for business. It says this is a soft launch, so if you find anything wrong, Dr. Doofus can fix that before the grand opening. This is just the beginning. There are many products. If there are any products or art that you would think be great for the store, let me know and we can add it. And then there's a link here, it's rocketpoolstore.net. And you can actually see that they have different kinds of clothing, accessories. So you can buy hoodies with the Rocket Pool logo on it. You can also buy a Rocket Fuel t-shirt and playing cards, shot glasses, a whole lot, including underwear, if that's what you're into. This is really, really cool stuff, like really, really cool stuff. So Rocket Fuel t-shirt is currently number 4 on the popular items list. I want that to be number 1. It's only $14, which is absolutely amazing. Like seriously, that's so great. But what you can do is you can click on the items, see the descriptions. These are all like cotton and all that good stuff. Good material quality. I've placed an order, but I haven't received it yet. So I'm going to do a haul when I get all my stuff that I've ordered, because I've ordered a lot. It looks like the website's being a little bit slow right now, so I can't show you. The Rocket Fuel tee basically says, if you support Rocket Fuel, then buy this t-shirt, and WAC doesn't get any money from this. Yeah, so it says this version ships from the US. It says show your support for WAC's Rocket Fuel podcast, a daily summary of the happenings of the Rocket Fuel community. And it says note that WAC does not receive any profits from these sales. So yeah, this money basically, like you can see, is $14. That just tells you that how well priced these items are. Like, you're not going to find t-shirts cheaper than this anywhere, pretty much. And that's because it's pretty much being sold at cost, like a tiny bit above that, just to basically cost when you include server costs and all that kind of stuff. It's basically being sold at cost. So if you want to support Rocket Pool, if you want to show off, well, not Rocket Pool, if you want to not support anyone really, just like show your love for the protocol and for the community, then you can buy this merch and you can wear it proudly. And I think it's definitely like a good thing to buy. So get on that. There's 27 different items of clothing, and there's a whole bunch of t-shirts. And like Dr. D said, if you have some kind of art or design that you want to go on the t-shirt, then definitely get that. There's some really cool t-shirts here with like a constellation of node operators, and there's the one with a cup, and there's like stuff with astronauts, like astronaut reflections. There's even some underwear, a bathrobe. Oh, there's a baby short sleeve onesie as well. That's really cool. And lounge slides and all sorts. So like I said, there's some really, really cool stuff in here. There's even some socks. So if you want to get any of this stuff, go to rocketpoolstore.net. That's rocketpoolstore, one word.net. And browse around. You can get shipping from the USA, from Europe, or from Australia. So depending on like what your tariff rates are, you can get different kinds of shipping. And like I said, the items are really, really reasonably priced. So you can't go wrong with that. So definitely check out the store. It's really cool. Okay, next we have last week was rewards week, and we actually had some issues with the rocket scientists rewards. So it says Ken, he had a postmortem on it. It says that the postmortem on the rocket scientist node and reward tree late submittal. So the weekend, Ken says that the reason why the node had problems was he switched from a RETHful node to history expiry configuration with the intention of maximizing the 2 terabyte space as much as possible. He says it would take approximately 4 days to sync, but my timing was sufficient, and I have a full archive node that uses it as a fallback. So he says approximately 12 minus 12 hours before the reward cycle ended, I checked the node. He said I had a concern about the hard disk space filling up during the ETH1 resync, as rETH seems to bloat during a sync but compresses or discards files at the final stages. He says the node appeared to be good with 100 gigabytes of space available on the partition. He says as part of my routine care and feeding routine, I observed the on-chain activity of the node to make sure it's performing the daily price submittals. So then there's a link, and he says what he failed to notice is that node wallet was basically on fumes. There wasn't enough ETH in there. He says there's sufficient balance to allow the lower gas submit price transactions to proceed daily, but not enough for the Merkle tree post to occur. So he says the node did produce the files, but couldn't actually submit them. So he says the current setting specified in the TUI for the Watchtower specified 200 GUI max fee override with a 3 GUI priority fee. It says this causes Watchtower to estimate the transaction with those specified transaction variables. So this is gas estimation exceeded the account balance. Watchtower did not proceed with submitting the file, even though there was sufficient funds to pay for the submittal. So that's actually been fixed now with the smart node that we were talking about, 1.17.3. Some of those were the ODAO changes, and that was because of Ken. So good job, Ken, making Fornax do some work there. But yeah, it's all there now, so it should all be good. And thanks, Ken, for sharing that information. Okay, we got some interesting information here from Adam. Adam says that using Rocket Pool is now better. It's got better security because you can verify the contracts on Etherscan. It says, thank you, Kane and Langers, for working with Hartik and the Etherscan team to add Rocket Pool label for rETH and the storage contracts. It says these labels can be used as part of multi-factor verification MFV process for important transactions. So what's really cool is like if you go to the Etherscan page now, and if you enter the contract addresses, what you think are Rocket Pool addresses, it will actually tell you there that this is a Rocket Pool contract. So they've been verified basically, and there's Rocket Pool storage contract as well. So that's really cool that these labels have been added, and it just makes it a little bit easier for people to transact with Rocket Pool contracts in safes. Yeah, Adam's kind of been on this move to have major protocols have their contracts tagged on Etherscan. So he says in the future, Etherscan can auto-identify all Rocket Pool validator addresses to distinguish between deposit addresses and contracts used for the protocol. So there can be a Rocket Pool label representing contracts coming from the foundation versus thousands of validators. And he says the next contracts for me to seek Etherscan verification are Chainlink, Circle, and EigenLayer. Is a beginning to reach out to these teams and EigenLayer contracts to be labeled in Etherscan, and then there's some different ones there. So like I said, Adam's been kind of on this move for a while. It's really cool that Adam's doing this. It just makes it a little bit easier for node operators and people wanting to transact with Rocket Pool contracts to see that they're actually transacting with the right stuff. So awesome stuff. Okay, GMC put out results of round 27, and it's just the usual information. The roster was the same, it was unchanged. General updates, there's talk about the stablecoin conversion. So the GMCs continue to work through the operational details of reserving funds in the stablecoin board, where they have agreed to use a TWAP, which is time weighted average price strategy, instead of a limit order implementation. And then the administrator renewal, so Schifrin was rehired for another 1-year term. The compensation was adjusted down from $5,375 a month to $3,500 a month to more accurately reflect the recent demands in the position's responsibilities. There was an advertisement video that was made by the GMC for the Schifrin course that will be playing before that, and it should receive around 600,000 monthly views. And it's going to go for an undisclosed amount of time. So this is Schifrin adding it to their courses. They of course have an rETH course, but it'll be going in front of a bunch of their different courses. And I think they might be wanting to kind of trial, these ad videos before their videos, to give an idea, for future advertisers that, hey, this is a place where it's worth paying for your ads. But that's really nice that they are promoting rETH for free. With advertising, the GMC reviewed advertising with Etherscan, but not to see much value compared to previous campaigns. The merchandise store is gone live now, and then Token Motion, the community's grant with Token Motion has expired recently, and maybe looking to renew that, and that is one of the grants that is going through this round. So this round we had 2 applications. The total amount that was requested was for grants, bounties, and retros was $28,000. Incoming funds were $44,560. The treasury is at $313,000, and the amounts reserved for rewards already is $257,000. So the GMC is in a pretty decent state. Here we had SAMUS for rETH improvements that was approved at $25,000, and there was one that was denied about grant progress tracking. And then there's some feedback if you want to read that detailed feedback. And member participation, all members participated. Steely, Ramana, and Scuzzle abstained from voting on the rETH improvements application because they'll likely be working on that. And then no members chose to reject this entire slate. So yeah, that was a nice little update from Schifrin. We also got details that the next round 28, has opened now. This opened on August 7th, and it runs, this one deadline is on September 7th. So you've got, it just closed, I'm sorry, I was a bit confused there. So the next one closed. The results were from round 27, the results. Round 28 just closed and round 29 just opened. So you've got now the latest one is round 29. So you can go there and get that information if you want to submit any kind of grants or paperwork. Okay, sticking with the forum, we have the report, the monthly report from the IMC, and here it says the IMC is continued budget cut. So they had inflows of 11,000 RPL, outflows of 8,700 RPL, and RPL balance change, so 20% change from 11,450 RPL to 13,720 RPL. It says the IMC continued saving allocations, budgeted for Cake Pie and Hop, which contributed to an additional 2,300 RPL per month period not being spent. And then the IMC is deliberating on how this will be spent moving forward, but likely begin to increase spending soon. So I think that actually the timing works out for that spending soon, because it could go to incentivizing rETH minting happening around Saturn, which is when we will need a whole lot of rETH minting to happen. And then budget 40 says that there's updated some information of the protocol and liquidity and other things. It says we have 40K in RPL, close to $300,000 combined with protocol on liquidity and reserves. It says similar plan as last period, expecting another 20% surplus as we deliberate the best plan for extra funds moving forward. And then the rETH impact on price for 1% slippage is around just under 5,000 ETH, which is decent but not amazing. And there's been a larger discount, so yeah, that's there. You can get some information from there as well. So that's good stuff, Sam. Thank you for sharing that update. Okay, next we have this discussion that was taking place in the Rocket Pool community, and what they are talking about is rearranging the threads, because what's happening is if people come to the Rocket Pool community for the first time in a while, after not being around for a while, or if they have, if they've just discovered Rocket Pool and they want to find out more, if they go to the Rocket Pool community, it looks like it's not very busy. But that is because a lot of the discussion that's been taking place in the Rocket Pool community is been happening in threads, not on channels. And unless you know how to navigate the Rocket Pool Discord, you won't actually see the threads that often, because it's not a default view. You have to actually join the thread for it to show up on your view when you join, when you're in the Discord. So there was some talk about moving some things around or trying to get activity back into trading, and how that could or couldn't work. And Mav was saying that you could do with some consolidation. So this has actually been this was actually a really nice discussion that kind of took place. There were some worries that threads might be kind of neutered, which is what we don't want to happen. We really want those sub communities to keep thriving. The original talk from Chaos here was to actually promote it to become a channel, so it's much more easily observable. But that of course had a really long discussion back and forth about how that would or wouldn't be best. And then Here, a Kingfisher new user to the Discord said, "This is great. I'm new to Rocket Pool and just spent like 20 minutes working day reading through all this drama about some thread that I had no idea existed. Keep it up." So yeah, but what's actually happened because of this is a lot of activity that was happening in threads that didn't really belong in threads, but people were already there, so they just carried on talking in those places, has now actually moved back to trading. So trading is a much busier place now. I think last night there were like, a few hundred messages in trading, and today as well, trading was very busy. So that's good to see that, activities coming back to trading. It was always like historically the hub of activity in the Rocket Pool community. And it's nice to get some of the old faces back in there. Even though they've been coming to the Discord every day and like being around a lot, they are now, back in the more public facing channels, which of course is really cool to see. Okay, so a couple of years ago, there was ETH Denver, and so it's 2.5 years ago now, and that was my first ETH Denver, and a bunch of people from the Rocket Pool community ended up buying Bufficorn onesies, which they wore on stage to ETH Denver, and that has now made its way to ETH Denver promotional material. So you can actually see a bunch of community members in this screenshot from the video. I couldn't quite catch myself in this. I'm not going to name the people who are in here, but there are a bunch of Rocket Pool community members who are in this, who are wearing the onesies. I'm going to say Ken. Ken is in that. So yeah, Ken made us all buy them. And then, yeah, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah, it was nice that the Rocket Pool community have this kind of like a lasting mark on like ETH Denver lore, basically. And Kevster said, "Well, that's me on stage." And yeah, we all were wearing these Bufficorn onesies. You might have seen the pictures of them back in the day, but yeah. Okay, so I was going to actually record about staking news and Ethereum news and all that, but I've already been going for about 35 minutes and I've got a lot of content still to cover. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to postpone all that stuff till tomorrow. So some of the news might be a little bit old by the time you hear about it tomorrow, but hopefully some of it will still be fresh. But it's just there's just too much to cover, and I'm doing this at like making sure that I get an episode out today. So this way I can get an episode out today, but if I did the whole thing, it probably wouldn't be able to get the episode out until tomorrow. So yeah, on that note, guys, thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. It was the first time in a while that we had such a packed episode for Rocket Pool updates, which is really cool to see. But there's a whole lot more to cover for tomorrow's episode. So yeah, make sure you definitely check in for that one. But yeah, thanks for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.